Hi, Eric here. So, I am hot off the heels of finishing The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia A. McKillip. And, man, I'm gushing. I'm gushing over this book. Wait, I got notes here. So, I'm gushing over this book. This book, let me just start 200 pages. Science, or fantasy. Yeah, yeah, fantasy. I don't know, fantasy drama, action, maybe a little bit of action. But I'm all smiles. This book was so good. This book I found at half price books, and like that they have like a rack with like plastic. It has like plastic. You're real old. I mean, look at this red. It's got the red paper on it. I mean, I think the story's from like, yeah, 1970s. So it's, I mean, it's an old school book. I found that half price on that rack with the plastic sleeve on it, just kind of with a bunch of other like older books. Just picked it out because I like the title. The Forgotten Beasts of Eld. And what a read! What a page turner! I think so far in all the reviews, this has been probably my favorite book. I mean, this ranks up there with, to me, in terms of enjoyableness. I guess enjoyableness. It ranks up there with me with The Hobbit because it's so fun and it's so. I got I don't even think there's like I can't think of any cons. Um, it it was going one place and then went another. So, well, I mean, the twists were good. There is, a couple of them. It's it's good. So the story, like even like the very beginning is captivating. It like it starts off with this uh, grand wizard, I guess, of some sort, who, I mean, this is like the first couple pages. Grand wizard who has a son, and then kind of like goes off, kind of abandons his son, who grows up as a who grows up, and then he himself has a son who in turn, and then you kind of, and they're all like, they all have wizarding ways. Has a son, and then I guess like the grandson or whatever. Oh my gosh, I am unprepared because now I don't remember. It doesn't matter how many generations there are, but I think it was the grand wizard has a son who kind of is like a farmhand or whatever, or a blacksmith, and then goes off to live in the mountains. The whole time he's like calling. He learns to call animals. He learns to call legendary beasts, and I'm a sucker for like awesome like legendary beasts. Like the griffin from Harry Potter, or that whole, what was it, the next movie, Fantastic Beast. Like I love. I don't know if I love that movie, but just the mythical beasts and the mythical creatures, and that's what this book had. And so he starts calling. The man starts calling all these beasts, these mythical creatures. Calls a dragon, calls a lion with beguiling powers, like he's able to like transfix people in his eyes and control them. Like just everyone, calls a swan. I mean, just calls all these beasts or whatever, all these beasts, and then he calls a woman, against her will, and marries, or I don't know if marries, but has a child, has a girl, and the woman dies from childbirth. He raises this girl to the age of 16, and then he dies, and she knows how to call the beast, and that's our main protagonist. Is this wizard who's she's just awesome. Like I really like her because she's so pompous in the beginning, but so after she turns 16, I think after her dad dies, after a couple years of solidarity with these animals, she hears a knock on her door, and someone from another kingdom like dumps a baby on her door and makes her take and has her take care of it. And then you got our second protagonist, and and then she there's other main not main but other characters throughout that touch on it, but that's kind of like the setup for the story, and it's just so. I mean, it mainly the setting mainly takes place of where this wizard woman lives, and then takes place between two warring kingdoms. So you got that political intrigue that these, or I guess, yeah, just the them trying to fight for ruler leadership, and then them wanting all the backstories of the two kingdoms, and them in this our wizard's kind of like a wild card, so them trying to get, get her to their sides and so on and so forth, and that's the setting of it. And it was like I mean I read it. What a page turner it was. I couldn't put it down. I didn't want to eat dinner. Like, just I think I haven't stopped reading it since I started. Definitely. Oh yeah, like I said, in terms of enjoyableness, I can compare it to The Hobbit. The Hobbit is just it's just so fun to me. I love the book. The Hobbit book. Movies are trash, but the book is just so good. And this just the fantasticalness of it. And you got your breaking a trope, your powerful like woman wizard, like, or like who who does that? Um, usually it's a powerful older man wizard, I guess. I don't know, but I just in her trials and tribulations, and oh man, I'm kind of a sucker for that, and then so well, okay, so spoilers now. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I got notes here. Yeah, legendary creatures. One of the legendary creatures is a boar, the king of wisdom. And this boar, silver hair, gem like tusks, is just full of rhymes, just spitting rhymes. I mean, he's all about like um spitting wisdom and riddles. He's like the riddle king, so he's constantly like spitting. It just makes it so fun. It's kind of one of my favorite things of The Hobbit is when they go into the man bear. All the doors are trying to get into this man bear um dude's house, and they're it's all a riddle. Gandalf makes up some riddle in it. Well, that's what I just everything he does is all riddle. He speaks in riddles, and it was that was enjoyable to read. Like like there was one moment I don't remember, but it was just I always enjoyed when he was on the page. Let's see. Okay, so spoilers now, really for sure. The overarching not theme, but like her dream, like she's always she's called animals her whole life, but her dream animal is this white swan. White. I'm thinking it's like a white swan, like a large white swan, and that was cool. Like the whole book, she's calling it, and then like calls in a creature of darkness, and that turned out to be awesome. Are you like? It turned out to like. I mean, there's a couple of scenes that were I mean, that made you feel the fear from this thing. They were so descriptive, and you just felt the fear of this creature, and it was just wild. So just these. Oh yeah, another thing that these creatures kind of remind me of like Princess Mononoke, if you've ever seen that. just the wild, all the boar creature and the wolf and the the create the deer of creation, that all those like giant animals, and that's what this book also kind of reminded me of. Let's see. So spoilers, big spoilers. One of the main, not plot, one of the main, like an event that happens that kind of really triggers the last quarter, a third of a book is um, our main character, our wizard, is she does all this calling to people, all to wizards, but she herself is called upon her, and then you get it kind of, it's kind of switched around. So this whole time you're like, oh yeah, she's calling wizards, no, you're calling animals, whatever, but then you get a sense of what it's like to be called, and it's just a mind, it's just like a ringing, it's a your name is constantly ringing in your ears, and eventually it works its way down to the darkest, the innermost sacred section of your mind, to the point that you become mindless, and you are driven to who is calling your name. And she's called to uh, one of her enemies, um, one of the kingdoms, by a more powerful wizard. And he kind of, he's like, I fell in love with her from the side, but he's very cold. And the kingdom she's called to kind of wants to control. This king hired this wizard to call her and call her, like, kind of pretty much erase her name, like erase her will, and kind of force her into servitude, or to become a wife of this king, and obey her every command, and do her wizardy ways to his enemies, and just kind of be like a mindless woman by his side. That's what he wanted, because he feared her. So she is like, you know utterly scarred by this, and she's able to escape. And I'm not going to say how, but she does, and it's good and it's quick, but she does. And I'm like, yes, like I'm just rooting for it. Like, yes, this is awesome. So, but because of that, it leads to the later half of a book, which leads to spoilers, but leads to a war. And then towards the end, there's just, the ending was good. Like, the ending is what I was hoping for. It went a little differently than I saw. I mean, this twist, this third half of the book or whatever, was okay. Like, this twist I wasn't really there for, but then there were certain pieces of information that were like, it's not all as it seems. Like, this whole twist going on, it's not as it seems. There's something like, okay, this wisdom pig, this wisdom boar is like speaking riddles that, there's ulterior motives going on here for this twist. And I was happy to see that little seed, that foreshadow that was planted, was correct. And then it led to the ending, and then just the ending, like, man, when a book is like, 200 whatever, however long, but when a book is good from beginning to end, and the ending is good, there's just not very many cons. Like, yeah, I mean, the one main villain, well, there's a couple, and when them villains are dealt with as, as they should be, exactly how that, like, and not the most brutal, well, one of them was, but in just a harsh manner, and they died how with no, with like, they just died in utter misery after you find out all the misery they've been inflicting, and it's so satisfying. And yeah, this book was just so satisfying, and then the ending was satisfying. You didn't really, there was, like I said, some foreshadowing that was picked up, there's a sentence that if you read it too quick you might not have known, might not have picked up on it. But I think I read one. I'm like, yeah, that's weird. Okay, and then payoff. I mean, nothing but payoff in the end. So I mean, I'll make that the review. I mean, absolutely, we'll reread this again. We'll keep this on my shelf, right next to the Hobbit. Like I just, like I found so much enjoyment in this, and the creature in the creatures. And like I said, that was my favorite part. The beasts. There's like a lion. There's a black cat. There's a black swan. There's the wisdom boar. There's a hawk. I don't remember what he's like, king of the sky or something. A hawk that is like I guess bigger than normal hawk, but he can like he's killed men and he can pierce armor and stuff. So he's just like this great hawk. And then there's the dragon, and then this like dark spirit, like fear. I think like the embodiment of fear. And then I think I think that was all she had. But yeah, I would love to. I mean, this I would love to know if there was like more in this world because there was so much more. The wizard that she encountered later on was there was so much lore that was just laid down on the page, and it was fascinating. Kind of reminded me like the Horcrux, like they could go and try to find these items or something, but it's not what it was about. It was about this uh, wizarding woman and her trials and tribulations. So I've gushed enough about it, I believe, and well, there you are. Check it out.